friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Amanda. So today's video is some cozy fall recipes that I know you won't want to miss. So guys, I'm really excited to share these recipes with you today. We've got Oven Baked Chicken Chimichangas. Chimichangas are like one of my most favorite Mexican dishes, like from a Mexican restaurant. I absolutely love them. So I was so excited to kind of try to recreate that at home. Those turned out really well. I've also got a Copycat chili skillet queso for you. Oh my word, it was so very good. I know you're going to enjoy that one. And my kids love that one. And I'm making that with homemade chili instead of like canned chili, which I feel like I love because, you know, you can control what goes in it and everything. I love doing that. But then we're also going to be making a really delicious dessert, so I know you're going to want to stay tuned for that one. Now this video is in collaboration with a few of my friends, Jessica O'Donoghue, Megan from My Main Kitchen, and Ashley from Ashley Lauren Price. They all have awesome channels, so I really think y'all will enjoy them just as much as I do. So make sure when you get done with my video, you head over and check out their videos. I'll have those linked in the description box for you below. I know they're going to have some delicious fall recipes waiting for you. I cannot wait to see them myself. If you're coming over from one of their channels, welcome. I'm so glad to have you. I do all kinds of recipe content, what's for dinners. It's all about the food here. So if that sounds like something you would like, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join my YouTube family. I'd love to have you here. And also hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I post. I've got lots of yummy things in store that I know you won't want to miss. So give me a like if you're excited to see these recipes. I'm so excited to share them with you. And let's go ahead and get into the video. So first up, we're going to get started on our queso because we want to get that in the crock pot while we're working on the rest of it, which by the way, with it being Crocktober, I feel like that is perfect to have our dip cooked in the crock pot. Plus, with it being in the crock pot, you can use it to keep it warm while you're eating your other food too, and then you can go back and get more dip and it'll stay warm, so that's always nice. Now this is a really small crock pot. I've had it for like quite a while. I've actually never used it because I've really never used anything this small, but I thought this would be perfect for this recipe. I think it's maybe 1.5, 2 quarts, something like that. And we're just adding in some half and half along with that Velveeta and 2 cups of chili. Now I used homemade chili, but the original recipe does call for canned. Homemade chili worked perfect. And like I mentioned earlier, then I know exactly what goes in it, so I like that. And we're just adding in some spices, some paprika, chili powder, cumin, and we're also going to add in just a little bit of, I just added just a little bit of cayenne pepper and then some lime juice. It said a whole lime, but that one was really juicy, so I didn't put the whole one in there because I was afraid that would kind of overwhelm it with lime. And then this is just going to cook while we do everything else. So it literally only takes a little while in the crock pot. I did end up having to turn mine up on high to get it going good. So you might want to do that. And then that way it helps melt that Velveeta good. So now we're getting started on the filling for our chimichangas. Now this was cooked chicken I had in the refrigerator. And to make it shreddable, I did heat it up just a little, just in a little bit of chicken broth. Just got it warm enough to where I could shred it apart. Now you could also use like your mixer to do the shredding, but I was only doing 2 chicken breasts, so I thought, I think I'm just going to do it on the cutting board this time. But it can definitely be a time saver too if you have to do a large amount of chicken to do it with your mixer. And now we've got that done, so it's ready to use for our filling. Now, as part of the filling, we're actually making a Mexican white sauce, and 1 cup of this white sauce is going to go in the filling, and then we're going to use the rest of it for on top of the chimichangas. So we're just getting some butter melted and then some flour, and you're just building a white sauce, so you're just going to kind of cook that flour for a minute or two. And I'm going to start adding just a little bit of chicken broth and then add the rest of it. And then once we get all that chicken broth in there, we're just going to bring it to a boil. Now, once it gets to a boil, we're going to add in a 1/2 cup of sour cream, a 1/2 cup of cream cheese, some diced green chilies, a little bit of hot sauce, and you can do salt and pepper to taste. But this comes together pretty quickly. You just need to make sure you keep stirring and get all that, cream cheese dissolved. And I always soften my cream cheese in the microwave when it calls for softened cream cheese because, number one, in something like this, it's going to kind of help it melt a little quicker. And it just saves time, I feel like, because if I leave it sitting out on the counter, I'll probably end up forgetting I sat it out there. So I'd rather just microwave it a little bit and get it, nice and softened and ready to use for whatever recipe. Now, once this gets done, we're going to use 1 cup of it into our mixture for our chimichangas, along with a cup of shredded cheese. It called for Monterey Jack. I didn't have Monterey Jack, but I did have queso quesadilla cheese. So I went ahead and used that, and that worked fine. And then we've got some different spices going in there. The recipe actually only called for cumin, but I added like chili powder, garlic powder, onion powder, all that kind of stuff. So definitely feel free to add whatever spices you would like. And then we've got a can of diced green chilies drained that I'm adding in there too. And I'm getting that hot sauce. It is hot because it's steaming, but the white sauce mixed in there with it. Now, once this is all mixed together, we are ready to fill our tortillas. I love to use Tortilla Land fresh tortillas. It is an extra step. You just have to, I use my griddle now and I do 2 at a time. But oh my goodness, they taste so good. I can't recommend them enough. They really taste like homemade tortillas, so I love them. So you just put a 1/2 cup of filling in each tortilla and roll those up. I've got a large sheet pan here that I've also got like a cooling rack that can go in the oven, and I'm actually going to cook them on that. Here in a minute you're going to see wax paper, or not wax paper, but parchment paper underneath it, because I got to thinking if they ooze out anything, that's going to make a mess on the bottom of that pan. So I went ahead and added a little bit of parchment paper to kind of save a little bit on cleanup. And we're going to actually just brush those with melted butter. I even brushed the bottoms of them because I didn't want them sticking to the cooling rack. And so might want to do that just to kind of prevent any sticking. You could probably also use like, some kind of cooking spray, but butter probably gives it a little bit more flavor too. So I just went ahead and did that. That's what the recipe had called for. We're going to bake those at 400 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. You're just going to kind of watch them and see how done you want them, and then pull them out when they're done enough for you. But you can see they're all nice and toasty. I also made some Mexican rice. I'll have that recipe linked below. I've made that in a previous video. It's so good. And then we've got our sauce there. Now here's our queso all done. Oh my goodness, y'all. This queso is so good. It's one of my favorite things at Chili's, and this tasted so good. It didn't taste exactly like it, but it was pretty close, I feel like. And it was definitely delicious enough that I didn't mind. So let me know down below what your favorite Mexican themed meal is. Or maybe what your favorite thing to get at Chili's is, if you like there, since that's a Chili's Copycat recipe. I love Mexican food. I love Chili's too. So both of those are really good. But so we just drizzled that sauce on top of our chimichanga, and we've got our rice, a little bit of guacamole I made, and I even had the little skillets. I could not resist using my little skillet for it because that's how they serve, at a Chili's. So I was excited to get to use that. And then, like I said, y'all have to make that queso. It is so good. It would be perfect if you're having a get together, or maybe like football snacks or whatever. And we loved the chimichangas. They were delicious. Highly recommend that recipe. And the rice is always good. So I'll have that recipe linked below, and all the recipes linked below, but definitely a delicious meal. So I hope you enjoyed those recipes. That dinner was so delicious. But now let's go ahead and get into this delicious dessert. I have got cream cheese bars or Sopapilla Cheesecake. It kind of depends on which recipe you look at, but they're basically the same thing. It is so unbelievably good. I know you're going to love it. So let's get started on it. So we're going to get started on this delicious cream cheese bar, Sopapilla Cheesecake, whatever you want to call it, but it is delicious whichever way you go. Now, I did not have 2 cans of crescent rolls, and I actually only had like the sheet, size crescent rolls. So I actually made half the batch, and that worked perfect. This is probably like an 8x8, 9x9 pan. I just cut the crescent roll sheet in half, and then I pressed half into the bottom. And of course, I greased that pan as well with some cooking spray. We're going to go ahead and get started on our filling. That is super simple. It is just cream cheese, some sugar, some vanilla. You're just going to mix that really well, and that's going to make almost like a cheesecake type filling, and it's just so good. I love cheesecake, like any kind of no-bake cheesecakes or any of that stuff like that. I just love that flavor, so I love these even more because of that. So once we get all our filling in there, we're going to just top it with that other piece of crescent dough. And then we're going to add a little something else that's going to really make this so much better even than it already is. But I'm curious, have y'all ever had this dessert? Because if you have, let me know if you love it, because I do. It had been a while since I made it, and I actually forgot how much I enjoyed it. I do that all the time with the recipes. I'll go for a while without making something, and then once I make it again, I'm like, oh yes, that was so good. So now we're just getting started on our topping, which is some cinnamon sugar. So I've got some cinnamon sugar in there I've mixed together. We're going to pour some melted butter on top of that top layer of crescent dough. I use one of the like little basting type brushes to just make sure it gets distributed really evenly into all the corners and edges and everything. And then you're basically just going to sprinkle that cinnamon sugar all over that. And y'all, that makes the most delicious crust. Oh my word, it's so good because it gets all kind of crispy. So the texture of that crispy, crunchy, sugary, buttery crust, and then the yummy gooiness of the cheesecake, and then the crescent roll. Oh my word, it's so good. I cannot recommend this recipe enough. It's just so good. It'd be great to take to something if you need to, you know, take a dessert somewhere, because it's so super simple to make too. So while I'm thinking of it, make sure you go check out Jessica's video, Megan's video, and Ashley's video. I'll have all their stuff linked below. I know they're going to have some delicious fall recipes just waiting for you. I just love this time of year, and I love the recipes that go along with it. So I just wanted to pop back on here at the end and thank y'all so much for joining me today. I really hope you've enjoyed these recipes. If you have, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button. I just wanted to thank Jessica, Ashley, and Megan for this awesome collaboration. It's been so fun and I've really enjoyed it. And I hope you each have a blessed day wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.